Well, welcome back to these videos. So just picking up where I left off. So I got to year one, first year of university, and as I said, I was on halls of residence, so I was on campus. Didn't do much apart from go to class, come home. I had severe social anxiety and eye contact issues, so I couldn't even look at people, or I always felt threatened or just unease, total unease, not being comfortable with that. Couldn't be myself. I was afraid to be myself. I was afraid to share myself. I was afraid of embarrassing myself basically, or humiliating myself, or people making fun of me. That was basically it. That's the route. I remember the best times in university were just going to just walking to the shop, even though it was really hard and I didn't want to. I wanted to just hide in a room, so I would get a week shopping at the shop. When I went to the shop, I'd get a week shopping, everything I needed. And as I said, I bought everything that was ready to eat. So I bought sandwiches, I bought crisps, tons of nachos and dip, all ready to eat, total junk food. I was just pleasure seeking at that time, but I did eat some healthy stuff like salads, and I used to love olives. I still love olives, obviously. I used to mix up olives with salad and vine leaves. So yeah, that was a big time thing, just those ready to eat foods. I went into M&S, Marks and Spencer's, and I got I loved their salt and vinegar crisps, salt and vinegar sticks, and I got vine leaves in there. I don't know if they had the pig's heads in there at that time, but I would get gummies, sort of gummy stuff, and salads and sandwiches, wraps, all ready to eat stuff. I didn't even have a fridge, so I had access to the kitchen, but I never would go near it because I knew it was a gathering point and there'd be other people there, so I just hide in my room. Did not come out of that room, only to go to the shop, only to go to classes. So I was a hermit. What other things would I get in the shop? That's the gist of it, but I also would go to the garage occasionally and get stuff out of the garage, which was a bit closer. I had to go into Coleraine Centre to get the M&S, Marks and Spencer's. That was the only shop I really went into, except was it HMV or where I bought movies, bought a Family Guy box set. What else? Just foreign films. I would actually buy them on DVD. I would buy them on DVD and play them in the tray, the DVD tray of the laptop. So all my films I bought. I spent my grant money actually buying films. I could have saved so much money, just by at least that's the honest way. That's the good way to do it. So I did it the right way by actually buying all this stuff. So I still have all those films like Akira and all those Takeshi Kitano films, and just tons of really great films I enjoyed watching. But that's about all. I did write. Obviously, I did the assignments. Very very last minute. I had writing assignments. I had essays to write, but I would write them at the last minute. So would always be at the very last minute. I would be like, oh God, I've got to do this now. So yeah, better do this now. It's too late to do anything else. So I would always be extreme that way. I'd be entertaining myself, playing World of Warcraft. Then very last minute, I would realize, oh God, I got to get this essay in. So I better get this done, or this project in. I don't even know what marks I got. Wasn't that great. It was mediocre at best, so because it was last minute and I didn't prepare enough, I didn't put enough time into it. I should have treated it like a full-time job, and I had a job just before starting university. I know this is all over the place, but I had a job, TK Maxx, Boucher Road. I had a job there, 17, 18 years old. No, sorry, I was 18, yeah. I was there for about a year. I left just before I started university, because that was obviously a an hour and a half away from Coleraine, so I couldn't keep that job, unfortunately. But as I went through university after the first year, I got another job in just a local garage that was near my house. Super Value, if you want to know. So I got a part-time job there. I wish I'd treated the university course like a full-time job, because that's what it is. It should have been. I was given grants, I was given loans, you know, and I just wasted all that. I invested it in 2008 into silver big time, but like I bought it when it was $30 an ounce, and then I sold it pretty much when it was $30 an ounce when I was running out of money. Towards the end of university, I was totally running out of money. I had to sell basically everything, you know. I had tons of musical equipment I was using that I'd been making music with. I bought a synthesizer, I bought a mixing desk, I bought audio equalizers, what do you call those things? Audio interfaces, yeah. I had 2 audio interfaces, microphones, tons of wires, just had to sell it all. Especially the big synthesizer. I had an SH201, my dad had a SH101, he sold that as well, got like 400 quid for it, so at least I didn't, well, I sold mine for less than I bought mine at, but he didn't lose, he gained on his, you know, the better. Alright, I lost my train of thought there. I don't know what I was talking about, but this is going to be all over the place. So I was talking about my most fondest memories, yeah, just going to the shop. Even though I was really fearful, and I was fearful walking down the road, of every footstep I was really hyper conscious of. I was really, people noticed that, you know, people noticed that because, you know, I had a banana skin thrown at me like one time, and that was, I got really angry because I was really sensitive at that time, because I hadn't been around people. I'd been hiding away from the world, so I was super sensitive. That's not a good way to be, you know. I was in a bad place. That's where it stems from. It just stems from not facing challenges, so you're so weak, you're so unable to deal with stuff, that the slightest thing, you just crumble. You know, someone looks at you the wrong way, it ruins your day. That's how it was for me. Like, I went into the shop, if someone looked at me the wrong way, or said something the wrong way, or, you know, what did I expect? I was a mess. My eye contact was terrible. Could hardly speak, so of course people are going to react negatively if you have a frowny face on and are so down on yourself and so sensitive and so insecure. That's how I was, so, you know. Still, at least I faced those challenges of going to university. I faced the challenges of, you know, staying on my own for a while, for 2 years, and yeah, enjoyed that part of it, the independence. I enjoyed, there were certain aspects, the freedom, the independence, but as I said, at the weekends I would come home. I wasn't really putting effort in, so I would pretend everything was going great, but it really wasn't. You know, I wasn't really putting any effort in, wasn't reading the books, wasn't reading the materials. I would just pull the stuff out of my rear end and watch the movies, you know, and make up the, you know, I'd add references in, obviously. I would do research. I would just search references and put them in, you know, because you had to use quotations and references, a lot of references. So I'd Google it the night before and just put in tons of references and try and vary it, you know, as much as possible, because you wanted like multiple sources. Obviously you didn't want just one source. So I'd do that like very last minute, usually at the weekend, and then you'd have to hand it in on Monday morning. Or if I could have a do-over of that, I would do it properly. A lot of it I don't even remember now, but, you know, I had notes. I would always take notes in the lectures. Like, I'd have books full of notes, you know, that I took. So I did do that, and they were useful because I used those in my essays, those notes. The only thing is I had to Google up all the quotations and stuff, which was a pain, but I did it. and it was all for nothing, you know, all that time wasted too. Could have easily passed that. Could have easily had a degree. Live and learn. There's not many specific things to talk about. Only like second year I had to repeat twice, so that's why I was there for nearly 5 years, and I still didn't get my degree. So total waster. That's what I was. You know, it's how it goes. Oh yeah, the second year I repeated. I had to do psychology or psychoanalysis. Actually, it was, and in that class, you know, you had little classrooms, gatherings, so as well as your lectures in the morning sometimes, and you'd have a presentation to do for each course. You'd have a presentation to do. You'd have coursework. You'd have essays to prepare, and exams. So you had multifaceted, you know. Multifaceted. It's the same with all courses, I'm sure. Like you have coursework, you have presentations, and this time we had a presentation on psychoanalysis. It was like psychoanalysis in film, so you know, you had to give examples of psychoanalysis in film. And the people in the classroom I hadn't talked to at all. They would have been second year, but I should have been third year, so I was repeating the second year, and I felt out of place there. I felt like I was too old then. That was, how old am I now? Like, oh my god. I remember there was an older German guy in one of my classes, and I was like, what's he doing here? No, that would be me. If I started a class, that would be me. I never reached out to anyone, never talked to anyone. Like, and talking, you know, by talking you gain experience and gain understanding. It helps. And if you don't, and if you close yourself off, you're narrowing your world down, you know. Your worldview becomes narrow. And your understanding becomes lessened, you know, very, very much lessened. So you got to expand it by talking to other people, by expanding your horizons. I understand that now. I wish I'd understood it then, but it doesn't make it any easier to do it now, you know. Okay, where did I get to with university experiences? I think I was on second year. Yeah, I was talking about doing a presentation in front of people. You know, they didn't think I was able to do the presentation. Because I never talked to anybody, so they thought I was like a mute or something. And then, you know, it's weird. If someone's talking to me directly, or if I had to do something like that, I was able to do that. Still, I think I've sat down for the presentation instead of standing, you know. But I did pretty well. It was about movies and psychology and how narcissism or something. Yeah, and in the media, you know, you had to show different examples, and I used like gossip magazines and stuff like that. Did like a 15-minute presentation, and then after the class, people were like, oh, I thought the presentation was going to be awful, you know. It was quite rude, actually, to say that to somebody, but, you know, I guess that's how normal people are. They just say what's on their mind, so. They were surprised, and then talked to them a bit after work, and then I think I walked to the shops after that, and they beeped at me in the car. There's a group of them in the car. After that, never saw them again. So, yeah, I don't know what happened there. I think that was the only interaction I had in university, pretty much, with people. Apart from some, you know, we had to pair up for, we were supposed to pair up for that presentation, and I didn't. I was the only person that didn't pair up. some girl asked me to, pair up, but I said no, I want to do it on my own. And then she looked at me weird, and then, the frown, and it was like I was discriminating against her, because I think she was, light skinned, but, I'm not in any way that, but don't have that much to talk about with the university, because that was so long ago and I didn't really do much. My scores were mediocre, they could have been a lot better. Didn't really put much effort in, that's about it, Didn't really socialise. Only time, went to the shops when I had to, went to once or twice a week I would go to the shops. I would go to Tesco or Marks and Spencer's, or it was quite a long walk too. It was like half an hour walk from the university in the Coleraine Centre, so I had to walk the whole way down the road. I would never get the bus, I would always just walk, and I'd walk back with tons of bags, because that would be like a week's worth of ready-to-eat food, Orange juice as well. I used to drink orange juice and lemonade and fancy lemonade, not the one you get in M&S. It's not not sparkling, but it's like pressed lemons. Bottles of water too. So my arms would be killing me when I got back. At least that was sort of a workout. And then I brought my barbell into my room. Didn't really end up doing much with it, like curls and some press, and maybe tried a couple of squats, but it's just like a basic barbell with these cast iron plates. Had it in a very confined space. So I think that was the second year I brought them down. Tried to do a bit of a workout, but I was so lazy then, so out of shape. I just continued on, basically second year, third year, nothing of note happened. I had the repeat years. I don't even remember having these discussions with people, or having many face-to-face discussions with people about where I was headed, or having to repeat the years. It was just like an automated thing. If you didn't pass, you had to repeat. So yeah, there was very little interaction. Unfortunately, I needed more interaction. I needed to speak to somebody. I needed to, determine what I was doing, where I was going wrong. I needed access to some form of help, but I should have sought it out. Yeah, I needed therapy, or to get my head right. Definitely needed it at that time. So I just ended up lying in bed. The later university went on, the more I just didn't care, and the more depressed I got, and the more I started just lying down and rotting. Yeah, basically. I just remember waking up after 10 hours of sleep and being like, I don't want to get up, I don't want to do anything, I don't want to move, I don't want to exist. Felt ugly at that time as well, I didn't really talk about that, but it felt really ugly, obviously, and hideous. And I did have some acne, and because I was eating junk food and watching or playing with myself and entertaining myself. I was my nose was a big source of uncomfortableness, or big source of insecurity as well. I was very insecure about that. That was another reason I just didn't want to put effort in or try, I thought, what's the point, if I look like this? No point at all. So I didn't really put effort in for that reason, and just tried to escape. Escapism was my way out of reality, and I didn't want to face reality. I didn't want to face all those things because, you know, it was just too uncomfortable, and I felt too unworthy, just ugly and unworthy. And why would you want? You know, socializing was painful. Social contact was painful. Being outside was painful. And I was just making it worse by escaping anyways. But I didn't realize that at the time. Maybe partially I realized it, but still wanted to escape. That desire to escape overrode that realization, I guess. You know, it was a convenient ignorance, really. Don't want to go on about my problems, but this is just me talking about my university experiences, where I was at in my head at the time. You know, I'm sure people wanted me to talk more about like actual experiences, like they think I went out drinking or something, but I never really did that. Never did that in university. I never went out drinking, never went to any parties, never, you know, didn't have any friends, so how could I? Then I think it was when I was repeating either third, you know, second year for the second time, I did my driver's test anyway. Like, this was in 2010. Yeah, so it being 4 years I'd been there. Got my driver's license, and at least that was a bit of independence, because my dad used to have to drive me down, and as well as getting the train down, or, you know, I got the bus from my house and then the train. My dad, he was working at the airport at the time doing night shifts, so he had to drive me down. I would usually get the train back though, you know, because I wasn't staying on campus after the first 2 years, so I had to get down there somehow, and he used to drive me down most days. I feel guilty about that too, because he was working night shifts and tired, and, you know, he wrecked 2 of his cars driving me down, I think, because he was so tired in his Volvo, and, you know, just lying to people and taking it, you know, not doing what you were supposed to do, when he sacrificed time for that, you know. And he'd done his law degree, and he was stuck in that job at the time, but now he's doing an advisor role, so it's better for him at the moment anyway. Yeah, it's another source of guilt, just wasting people's time, basically, you know. But you shouldn't go on about it. I mean, you should forgive yourself, move on, and not make the same mistakes, learn from your past mistakes, and forgive and forget yourself, and, you know, make amends also, of course, yes. I'm sure I've paid the price big time anyway. I mean, as I said, I had many years of loneliness, many years of mostly self-imposed suffering, but, you know, I brought a lot of it on myself, and looking back I can see why. So just remember having the opportunity to talk to people, like it, especially that first year when you start, you know, there's all people don't really know each other, and you could have reached out to someone, but I was expecting someone to reach out to me and never did, you know. Like some people did that in school, you know. I had friends just because people reached out to me and made friends with me, and I was expecting that, you know. I just was entitled, so yeah, pretty much. Anyway, after like 4th year I was there in 2010, I had my own car, I could drive myself down, and that was liberating, you know. I think that winter, it was like really snowy winter in 2010. I'd only got my license in October, so it was like trial by fire driving, you know. It was insane. Crashed a few times, but it was only like minor crashes where I didn't really damage anything, so I just slid on, you know, at junctions. Car just slid on basically, and then stopped in a pile of snow. It was kind of like being a rally driver, so at least I faced that challenge, you know. There's some challenges I did face and surpass, so looking back, you know, it's not that I was a complete... I mean, and looking at my peers, or, you know, comparing yourself to other people is never really helpful. We're all on our own unique path, our own unique journey, so me calling myself, you know, socially anxious loser, yeah, I had issues, many self-imposed, many. I have plenty of excuses though. You know, I've talked about this stuff before. It was my mental state. It was because of my appearance, but also past issues. You know, torment, or not torment, but traumatic events in my childhood. Because your subconscious is developed from 0 to 7 years old even. And a lot of that was a traumatic time. So an unstable environment I was in, unstable household. If you want to learn more about that, just go back and watch my early videos. I talk about it more in depth. This is not about that, so I think there's too much more to cover with the university, as I said. I'll try and find that footage someone was saying in the comments about that nature footage I had, and I was sitting at the window, you know, watching in my dorm the first 2 years. I would spend hours and hours just looking out that window, but I would sit there, you know, I wouldn't be standing, because that's where the table was and there was a chair there. I would sit, look out the window. No one could see, you know, in that window, so it was very private, secluded, which was nice. I enjoyed just looking out there. No one ever went past, because it was just like grass and then trees, and that was it. No other windows. As I said, when I got my own car, I could drive down. There was a car parked in the car park. Felt very liberating. Never had to get a train again, never had to get public transport again, never had to be awkward there about, you know, sitting in the train seat. I would always pretend to be asleep on the train, or, you know, because I didn't want to have to interact with anybody or say anything to anybody. So I just kept my head down and pretended to sleep. Same on the bus. Sometimes someone would sit beside me, I would be shaking and in fear, and I would not look at them once. You know, I would look at them out of the side of my eye maybe, and then pretend to be asleep. Someone commented a few times like, look at this guy sleeping on the train, but I was just pretending. Most of the time I was, well, sort of dozing in and out of consciousness. You know, I was trying to be out of consciousness because I didn't like being in consciousness outside, so just tried to put myself out of consciousness, but I was whacking my head off the train window basically, because, you know, the train would be bumpy on the rail lines. Same with the bus on the road. But it was so freeing and liberating when I did get my car. It was independence. It was well, all I did was go back and forth to university basically, which was like an 1.5 hour drive every day. Beyond that, you know, a wasted opportunity, that's all. Just didn't feel a fit in, or there was anyone there like me. Not that I ever reached out, but I just perceived it that way. Saw everyone different to me, and no one understood me, and, you know, all that usual stuff. All you need is one friend to make it infinitely better, and that would have made it infinitely better, and to help you and bring you out of yourself, bring you out of your shell, you know. I never had that, so just got lost in myself, I guess. And everyone needs friends to help bring you out of yourself as well. I know it's not the sometimes you can have friends that don't help you. You know, you have, you know, friends. They're not really friends. They just drag you down, or they're a bad example. You know. So could have been worse. I mean, could have had a bad group of friends that just made things worse instead of better. And you had to pretend. At least I never pretended I wasn't someone, or I was someone I wasn't. I mean, I just didn't express myself at all, basically. Safety. Alright, back with the final part of this, you know, vlog, talking about university. I think I got to, like, I'm just all over the place with this, but I want to wrap it up. What's to be learned from this, basically, and yeah, just, I don't want to drag things up from the past and complain about them, and that's why I haven't really talked about stuff from the past. You know, I did that in my early vlogs. It was good to vent, to get that off my chest and talk about those things, but now I'm trying to grow, develop as a person. I should have been doing that at that time. I should have been growing and developing as a person. That's why people take a year out. You know, if you don't know what you want to do and you have the opportunity, take a year out with a charity or something, you know. I know now you can't really, because this whole epidemic that's going on. So just use this time to study, to improve your life, to learn things you're passionate about, to skill up, you know, do constructive, productive things. As I always say, it's simple. I mean, what else can you say about it? If I could go back, I would apply myself to the course. I would do the things I was supposed to do. Would I socialize more? I think I would, because the thing is, I wouldn't be such a pleasure seeker. I wouldn't be, but I'm saying this in retrospect, you know, everything was new and not new, but you know what I mean. You're indulging in those things for the first time. You're away from home for the first time. You know, people do indulge in university anyway. I indulged in a different way. I indulged by myself, which was like even worse than indulging with other people. At least with other people, you're getting the social element, you're getting connections, you're still developing social skills, so it's actually really important. So those people that did go out and drank and smoked and did drugs and stuff every week, you know, they gained a lot more than I did. I was stressing my body out anyway with, you know, playing with myself, as well as stressing out, being under stress, constant stress. Like my body was I was on a constant state of fight or flight, you know, like a constant state of that, of fear, of paranoia, of unsureness, uncertainty in myself, you know, hyper awareness, just being too aware of my surroundings, of everybody, being too paranoid, being hyper conscious, you know, but not in a good way. That's another thing. I was an even more selfish person back then. I was only about getting my own pleasures, and you know, couldn't be bothered with anybody. You know, I thought, I don't want to engage with people. I don't want to have friends. I don't need that, you know, anyway. I'm never going to have that, so I just kind of gave up on that at the time and resigned myself to being alone. And of course, I still had a chip on my shoulder, big time. So how did that work out? Not so well. I'm just thinking if there's any other stories I have to talk about. There's really nothing of note, as I said. Oh, I remember one time I went into Korean and there was these Action Aid people, and I couldn't say no. They were looking for people's bank details on the street, and I gave them my bank details on the street. Like, what? I must have been crazy to do that. You should never give anyone your bank details, like, in the middle of a street. Lucky enough, they were legit, you know, they were with Action Aid or whatever it was at the time. They took out like, I don't know how much money they took out a month. It was like, I think it was only like $2.99 a month, so it wasn't really that much, but I felt guilty, and I couldn't say no. Obviously, they approached me, and I was like, oh, this is the first person that's talked to me in like a year that isn't my family or something. So, as sad as that is, that was the first person that talked to me outside my family, and that's because I had aversion. If someone was directly talking to me, though, I could manage. Though I was really a lot more shaky, nervous, and my dopamine was totally crashed, like zero, because I used it up constantly, consistently. As I said, I know I repeat myself, but it can't be emphasized enough how much of a dopamine fiend I was. Like, every last drop I just squeezed out, be it entertainment, be it porn addiction, be it sleep, like sleeping too long, sleeping for days, watching movies, playing video games, obviously World of Warcraft. Got hugely addicted to that. I only started playing that in 2007, so it was actually after I started my course, and I was like, oh, I have all this free time, so now I have to... I'd been hearing about World of Warcraft because I used to buy PC Gamer magazine, and I was resistant to play it for some reason. I wasn't that big into RPGs. Like, at the time, I was playing Oblivion, though, really hard. Oblivion came out like 2006. I played it like crazy. Got on the PS3 first of all, played that twice the whole way through, every single quest line, every single storyline. It was like the first proper in-depth RPG I'd ever played, even though now, by today's standard, looking back, it wasn't really that in-depth, but it got me into RPGs. Before that, I would only play like racing games, fighting games. I did play actually Kami and Persona 4, but that was later, I think. Yeah, that was the gateway drug. Basically Oblivion. I think I'd played Might and Magic before that. I can do a gaming video on my gaming history. This is not what this video is about. I have a lot of gaming history. I think I've mentioned it in videos before, though. But it's good to make separate topic videos and talk about these things separately, so people, because not everybody that's subscribed to my channel is going to watch every single minute of my videos. Obviously, that's impossible. There's so much, and obviously I'm going to repeat myself when there is so much footage of me talking and discussing things about my life and my self-improvement journey. The mistakes I've made. I've made a lot of mistakes. Like, I've made more mistakes probably than anybody that's not had, that's had as little social experience as I have. At least with my work now, I'm getting some social experience. Anyway, what else about university? This is nothing special, this is why I haven't made this video, the university, talking about university, and the audio quality is not the best. I have a few video ideas in mind still, so I have a lot of topics to work on and that I want to work on. But bottom line is, if you're in university, focus on that. Don't worry about friends. Work on your course. I know it's not easy, but you won't regret it if you do that and you get the piece of paper. At least that's you've achieved something, and you're going to feel better about yourself instead of feeling worse about yourself. Like, what does gaming do? What does entertainment do? It does nothing for you. What does it add to my life? All those like years and years of game playing and years of movie watching, entertainment watching. What did that get me? Nothing. It didn't achieve anything in my life. It made me worse off. It made me more anxious because you're not achieving anything. You're just monging out it. Whereas if you'd invested in a course, if you'd invested in a language, even learning a language, you would have a language and you'd know a language, and that would be an additional skill, and you'd be more employable. You could even set up your own business. That's why people that are smart don't let their kids play video games and watch too many Even the smartest ones don't even let their kids near the internet or devices. They just read books, play piano, Chinese parents. And then they become they have much more dopamine for all those productive, creative endeavors, So they do better at that, and they can focus more on that. It's not that they're geniuses or anything. It's just that they haven't wasted that. They haven't spewed out all that energy, on useless things. And I did. I wasted it on useless pursuits that led nowhere, that were going to lead nowhere. I can't get that time back. It was a waste of time. Yeah, I enjoyed myself at the time, but it's like spending money in the bank, and I didn't have the money, so I went into debt. That's it. That's the perfect metaphor. I didn't have the money in the bank, so I went into debt. With entertainment, with porn, with video games, just self-abuse. So I went into debt. And what does debt cause? It causes stress. It causes anxiety. It causes problems, mental health problems. It causes deficiencies. So it did. And that's why I developed social anxiety, insecurities, all these issues, because I was in the deficit. I was in debt to myself. Guilt, because I was in debt to myself. So that's it. You just think of your life as an investment. Things you do, right? No, think of your life. Just think of things you do in your life as investments. That's the best way to think of it. And anything you do is spending everything that you've saved up in your bank, and you have a certain amount of resources built up, right? Anytime you pleasure yourself, anytime you don't adhere to your responsibilities, anytime you disrespect your parents or people around you, or you get angry, you waste those points, you spend those points, you spend that money in the bank, and you only have so much unless you build it up. And how do you build it up? You invest in yourself, you do courses, you learn new things, new skills, you skill up, you take on new challenges. That's how you skill up. You do weightlifting, at least I wasn't even doing that at the time. I had a barbell brought with me down to halls, and did that very, very lazily. Didn't put much effort into that. Anyway, I hope this has helped someone. I thought I'd have more to talk about with university specifically, but it's all a blur to me, because I was in a blur state at that time. I was just existing. I wasn't living life. Yep. I was observing things and enjoying myself, I guess. I wouldn't call that enjoying yourself. It's more like abusing yourself, for pleasure. That's why I was against my looks, because I was acting in that way. I was being a creep, by looking at all those images I looked at, and yeah, I have to talk about. I did enjoy my course at times. It was just I was in a terrible mental state, that's all. And at the end of the day, it was my own fault. You have to take responsibility, and if you don't, things just get worse. So you might as well take responsibility for things. Once you do, you're taking power back, and when you have power, you can do things. If you give power to the world, then you're just like a puppet on a string. You dance to other people's their tune. They can pull the strings. You don't want to be like a little monkey, like Anthony says. Pull your tail, you're up, and I don't know. They can, push one button, you're up. Push another button, you're down. That's it. Don't want to be like that, do you? I don't want to be like that, and that's the mistake I made. Giving that power to other people and expecting things from other people. You should just. Someone left a good comment on my channel saying about that. You should just accept. We think we expect too much from life, and we should just enjoy the simple things. Should expect less and enjoy the simple things. And the less we expect, the more we can enjoy. Lower your expectations, you know. Life's full of good moments, bad moments, and everything in between, and I don't know. It's just life is life. It's what you make of it. I know there's so many sayings, but at the end of the day, it's best to take responsibility. And if I had have, you know, I could have made better out of my opportunities. You got to make the most out of your opportunities that you do have while you have them. I know this is all very generic advice, and you know, I thought I'd have better things to say about this, but what can you do? It's just what comes to my mind, and maybe on a different day I would have made a better video, but I did this over a couple of days, you know. So I'll put it up there for now. Probably have more to say on this. Like, I could record a lot of videos on this and more memories would come back to my mind, but you know, for now that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching. Till the next time, stay safe, stay positive, peace out, and goodbye for now. Big thanks and a shout out to all my patrons on Patreon. We've got Nolan, thank you Nolan. Mostin Hilmanovsky, thank you Mostin. We've got Michael Zay, thank you Michael. We've got Johans, thank you Johans. Huen, thank you Huen. Jamie Brannan, thank you Jamie. And Didrik, thank you Didrik. And thank you to my latest patrons. Podell, thank you Podell. Katsia, thank you Katsia. And big thank you to Annie Quitak. Thank you all very much for your support and for everything. Until the next time, stay safe, stay positive, peace out, and goodbye for now.